Hello and welcome to Marichat Madness. My name is Rose Wrights and I write and narrate Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction. Check out this amazing commission by Nema Diana. She is so incredibly talented, so go show her some love. Her info will be linked below. Today's prompt is roses. So please enjoy Change Targets. Cat Noir sat on the edge of Marinette's balcony, legs dangling over the railing. It was pretty late and he couldn't find it in himself to wake her. But just being near her, that was enough. The thought of Marinette brought him comfort, having been friends for years. Just sitting there, he felt at home. His eyes landed on his lap, staring at the bouquet of roses he had purchased earlier that day. He intended on giving them to Ladybug, but the voice in his head refused, leaving him holding a dozen flowers. He stroked each individual petal, sticking his face in to smell them. He smelled nothing except the slight smell of grass. Why did people like to smell flowers? He didn't understand, but he still hoped Ladybug would like them. But then again, she had rejected him time and time again. The roses stared back at him, the drops of dew glowing in the moonlight. A friend once told him to change targets, and maybe it's time he finally listened. For real this time. He stared off into the distance, the streets dimly lit, the only sound being his tail swishing across the balcony railing rhythmically. Behind him, a loud creak came from the trapdoor. The off-guard superhero flew around, nearly toppling over. In a panic, he stashed the flowers behind his back. A drowsy Marinette stumbled from under the trapdoor, rubbing her eyes. She yawned, stretching her arms high above her head. "You know, for a cat, you're not very quiet." Cat Noir chuckled nervously. "Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you, princess." She ambled over to the balcony railing, Cat shuffling awkwardly, making sure his back was never to her. When he joined her, hands still behind his back, she cocked her head, eyebrows furrowed in confusion. "You're acting even weirder than usual." She tried to peek behind his back, but he shifted back and forth, making it impossible. The two seemed to dance in circles as Marinette ran around Cat, trying to see what he could possibly be hiding. Out of breath, Marinette placed her hands on her knees. "What are you hiding?" she said in frustration. "Come on, Marinette, it's embarrassing." He looked away, a subtle red glow spreading across his lightly tanned skin. Marinette propped her back against the railing, sighing out in defeat. "Fine, I won't make you tell me, but we're friends and you can tell me. If you want, that is." "Okay, here it is." He took in a deep breath as if about to proclaim some deep confession. "For a long time, I've loved Ladybug." Marinette brought her hands up to her face, feigning shock. "Really? I had no idea." Cat rolled his eyes. "Ha ha," he said humorlessly. "I'm serious though." "Yeah, me too, Cat," she giggled. "You talk about her all the time, but I know you don't have Ladybug behind your back, so what are you hiding?" She asked again with more emphasis, still trying to glance behind his back. He hesitantly pulled out the bouquet of roses, a few smushed from the pressure of being pressed against him. "Roses?" Marinette still had no clarity. She inspected the red blossoms one by one, giving them a sniff. "They're beautiful, but who—" "They were for Ladybug." Cat stopped himself, hands dropping. "She doesn't like me. I'm not sure she even likes me as a person. I've bothered her so much over the years, and it's time for me to give up on her. I see that now." Marinette frowned, touching his shoulder comfortingly. "I'm sure she likes you, Cat. I mean, your possum?" Cat Noir smiled at her attempt at a cat pun. "Thanks, but you don't have to say that." He noticed her rigid posture. He eased his arm around her shoulders, which only seemed to further tighten. He removed his arm, muttering, "Sorry." "So, what are you going to do with the roses now?" he asked curiously. His eyes widened as he buried his head in the bouquet. He slowly picked it up. I hadn't thought of that." He stole a glance at Marinette, his eyes lingering longer than he wanted. He felt captivated by her beauty. He wondered why he had never noticed before. The dainty string lights bounced their radiance around the balcony, catching her porcelain skin in the most wonderful way. "Change targets," the voice echoed in the back of his mind. His eyes drifted back to the slightly mangled bouquet before locking eyes with Marinette. He thrust them out to her on bended knee. "Princess?" Her face turned red under his steady gaze. "Me?" he asked, as if he could possibly be asking anyone else. He smiled his signature crooked grin, and inside Marinette began feeling weird. Just this look made her heart beat faster. Her hands began to sweat, knees nearly buckling. "It might be time to change targets," Kat repeated for the first time out loud. Change targets? From Ladybug to her? The exact same person, which, of course, he didn't know that. But this feeling welling up inside, a particular fondness and longing she had never felt for Kat, but now... Marinette extended a trembling hand to grab the flowers, clutching them tight against her body. She eyed the bouquet, then looked into his neon eyes. He still stayed on one knee in silence, staring at her, taking her in. She couldn't help feeling embarrassed. Her bedhead was probably atrocious. Marinette self-consciously tucked a strand of her messy hair behind her ear. "What?" Her voice came out shaky and breathy. "You just look beautiful." "Oh," she said, surprised. "Thank you, Kat." "Of course, Princess." Bowing deeply, he placed a kiss on her hand, sending her heart racing further. But why? This was the last thing she wanted to feel for Kat, her partner. She would deny it, and deny it. But just as he changed targets, so did she. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe for more fanfictions. If you have any ideas for other Marichat prompts, I'd love to hear them, so drop them in the comments. As always, stay miraculous!